Battlefield 5 finally coming into the Battle Royale scene. We got the diskless Xbox, codename Maverick dropping, and Anthem's crashing more PS4s. All that and more on this week's episode of WeekBack Recap. Gotta get in the zone, gotta get in the zone, gotta wake up. Welcome back to another episode of WeekBack Recap, where we run you through the latest and greatest in the video game industry. I am Deshaun over at Don't Give a Bit, and hopping right into it, Battlefield 5 finally entering the Battle Royale scene. Over on the subreddit earlier this week, there was an accidental leak. Accidental leak, at this point, everything's a PR stunt. An accidental leak about the Battlefield Battle Royale Firestorm is what it's called. The tutorial went up. It wasn't supposed to come up anytime soon, but it just appeared online, and then since then the users deleted their username and all that. None of that really matters. The important part is Battlefield 5 is finally stepping into the Battle Royale scene. This has been quite some time since they were originally supposed to hop in. Apex has already dropped. Fortnite is now in Season 8. There's been a lot that's happened since Battlefield was supposed to hop inside this Battle Royale scene. So now they're coming in. They kind of indicated some of the things that are going to be happening. You know, you're going to be hopping in from the airplane. That was already in the game, so we kind of assumed that was going to be for Battle Royale. You can res or revive up your partners, which is pretty cool. Once again, we've seen that with the other games now, so common practice. But what is different with this one is you actually have a down but not out feature, which is pretty cool. Now when you go down, you don't get killed instantly. You actually can pull out a pistol and actually draw on your enemies. Get that quick fire real quick before you go down, before you drop. But over on the subreddit still, one of the employees over at EA actually did comment on the video saying that this tutorial is still from the early phases of the Battle Royale, so things in there were destined to change, may change, probably changed, all that stuff. Like I said, at the end of the day, the only thing that you really need to take away from this is Battlefield finally getting into the Battle Royale scene. Let's see if people are still interested for it. Let's see if it still has a place right now with competing against some of the others. Next up, moving into the other story, sticking with EA, Anthem. What the hell is going on? I know, we've talked about it, right? Games as service evolve over time, but man, this game cannot catch a break. It came out to poor reviews, and now it's just going into more problems. Recently, there was this entire thread, both on EA's page, BioWare's page, the subreddits, all indicating that the game was actually bricking PS4s. Now, since then, that has been cleared up. It has been stated that there hasn't been any cases of a bricked PS4. What is happening, though, it is causing software issues into the PS4s, which is causing it to power down as if it were powered down incorrectly. Players have to go back and boot their PS4 into safe mode, bringing it up, hold the power button, etc., etc. They've listed all that on the threads, on the forums, all the fixes for that. The good news is the fix for that will be out next week. Why this is important? I talked about it earlier. A lot of people were bad-mouthing EA, BioWare, Anthem, the game, people who are enjoying the game, etc., etc. Well, all that kind of takes a backseat to this. Like, we're talking about a game-breaking bug here. And not just a game-breaking bug, a software-breaking bug. That's not cool. That's something that needs to be fixed. Now, this is not a parade against EA. Go fight EA. EA's big, bad corporate. No, that could happen to any game. It could happen to any developer. It could happen to any publisher. But the important thing is the problem's been noted. The problem's being fixed. There isn't any bricked PS4s. No one is out of a console. And the issue will be resolved next week. Moving on to our next story. Microsoft. Diskless. Man, that is hard to say. Diskless Xbox One S coming out soon. April. Rumors, leak, who knows? Over on Windows Central site, it is listed that the Xbox One S Maverick, the diskless Xbox, should be arriving sometime in May. What does this mean? Why is this important? Let's go through that really quick. This is supposed to be the cheapest entry into the Microsoft family, platform, whatever you want to call it, into the ecosystem. Ooh, there we go. Ecosystem. This is going to be the cheapest entry into the Microsoft ecosystem. So now we have an all-digital Xbox, mainly relying on both the streaming service that Xbox will be implementing and Games Pass. Games Pass, we've talked about it, we've blown it up. I've blown it up. I've hyped it. By now, I sound like a Microsoft fanboy. We know what Game Pass has to offer. We know why Microsoft is doing this. A lot of people are saying, I'm not giving up my physical copies. That's fine. It's not for you. It's for somebody else. Shut up. We don't need to hear what you're saying. Sit down, shut up, play some games. Let the other people who think that this is for them get it, right? So this isn't for everybody. We know that. Microsoft knows that. Everybody understands that, except for the people who feel like they need to make their voice heard. What this does allow is for those who want a cheap entry into the Microsoft ecosystem. They don't really care about physical copies, and they plan on being connected online anyways. It's cool. It's another option. It allows them to move forward, get into the games, play the games in their own way. Not really too much on that. We'll kind of have to wait and see how that plays out. But with Maverick coming out, possible GDC news of Xbox Live on Switch, possible Game Pass on Switch. Like I said, 2019 is all about Microsoft right now. I really do believe it. It's just that Microsoft has a lot to prove. They're doing everything they possibly can to kind of show the audience that they know that they don't have the games right now, and they're making that hard change. Next up, Borderlands 3, a classic, possibly making its return over at PAX East this year. That's kind of cool. So Gearbox pretty much went out and said that you need to be at PAX. We're showing some things that we haven't talked about before, and really everybody at this point is kind of summing up to being Borderlands 3. We know Borderlands 3 is in development. We know it's out there somewhere. We're excited for it. We just don't know what it means at this point because it hasn't been talked about in so long. Now, that's not so much news. I mean, we'll just wait and see for that. But what I do want to kind of bring up the discussion, the conversation, maybe get some ideas going. What does Borderlands 3 look like in a post Games of Service world? Now think about it. When Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 1 came out, Games of Service wasn't really a thing. Destiny hadn't dropped yet. Borderlands was the looter shooter, but it was a single player that allowed multiplayer looter shooter. It wasn't an online only looter shooter. It was a completely different game. So what does it look like now? Does that mean that Borderlands 3 needs to be a looter shooter in order to compete against the Destinies, the Anthems, the Divisions, etc.? Or does it retain its whole single player, multiplayer, play with friends, thousands of guns model, and hope to draw in that old fan base coming right back into it? That's the part that we really need to think about. Now, on one side, the game was probably put into development shortly after Borderlands 2, therefore, it still doesn't have any of these new ideas that were implemented, or as the development was going on, they decided to implement these new ideas. They saw where the industry was heading, and they decided to implement them. So that's kind of the thing to take away from it. Just kind of gets you questioning what this game's gonna look like. Will it fit in with Games of Service? Does it become a Games of Service? Does it become an online thing? Who knows? These next couple stories, not really too big, just some quick fun little things put out there. So Sonic, I am a huge Sonic fan. Correction. Alright, the correction, let me make this be known. I am a huge Sonic 1 through 3 CD, Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic Adventures 1 and 2 fan, and a couple of fan-made games. So I had to specify because there's a lot of bad Sonic games. But I am a Sonic fan. I'm a big Sonic fan. I'm a huge Sonic fan. In that picture, I am playing Sonic. That's how big of a Sonic fan I am. Now, we finally got the look of what the CG Sonic is supposed to look like, should look like, could look like. We have the CG guidelines that were dropped, leaked once again, and this is what they look like. I don't know how I feel about it. On one hand, the silhouette that was dropped a lot earlier, a couple months back, was looking horrendous, so it's definitely an improvement from that. There's been different artists taking their own renditions and showing what it could look like, how it should look like. They're pretty damn good. It kind of makes me upset that they didn't go ahead and go with that. But like I said, that's neither here nor there. It's just kind of in the news now because it leaked and Detective Pikachu showed his trailer and everybody went crazy, including me. So that's why it's just to note. For the last thing, I only bring it up just because we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Dreams, the PS4 game creation tool, game, sandbox, that entire thing. The developer said that there's going to be templates put into the game. What does that mean? It just means that those who want to go into the game and create a first-person shooter game, already has the template, they can select the first-person shooter game and start building from there. It'll come with a character model, holding the gun, the first-person perspective, and you can just shoot around. And then you can build from there. If you want to build a racing game, it'll give you a car, the street, and you can just go from there. It's kind of cool that it starts you off with the base groundwork, and you can kind of build around that. That's pretty cool, and it helps a lot of people dive right in without too much stress, without too much grief, etc. So, as I said, there's not too much that happened this week. A couple of the big things, the Anthems, the Battlefields, but overall it's been a slow games week. But I still thank you for stopping by, watching the video. Remember, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Don't Give a Bit. Be sure to follow me there, and if you enjoyed the material, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you subscribe. Until next week on WeekBack Recap. Moving on to our next story. Moving on to our next story. Moving on to our next story. What's the next story? Starting right into it, jumping right into it, jumping right into it, hopping right into it, swimming right into it. All right. Sorry, my throat. All right, there we go. Boom. Deshaun. What's up, and welcome back to another episode of WeekBack Recap. I am Deshaun at Don't Give a Bit, and don't worry about a damn thing. All right, because we're here giving you the smiles you need to have. All right, gotta get in the zone, gotta get in the zone, gotta wake up, gotta amp up. Woo, 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 woo.